Do you need an amazing waterproofing product? Look no more. Basecrete is the #1 cementitious 100% waterproofing membrane with a proprietary blend of polymers and specialized content. An easy-to-use, all-in-one waterproofing membrane and bond coat that provides exceptional strength and unparalleled adhesion, yet remains flexible to absorb movement and the underlying concrete structure. With its range of application, Basecrete is the ideal solution to protect or repair any concrete structure for use in swimming pools, roofs, terraces, foundations, cellars, deck, etc. It adheres directly to the substrate. No primer, no bond coat. How easy is that? Hey guys, Heather here on Talking Pools podcast on Hump Days with Heather. So this episode I want to talk about staining inside of plasters, right? So we all know that pool stains are no mystery. At any given point, there's a wonderful tool called that you can go and test to see what stain it is. If it's an organic stain, such as algae from plants, or if it's inorganic, such as metals that's become attached to the pool surface. There is grayish stains that's caused by hydration staining, which I suck with that. Like, I hope never to have that again. Hydration staining sucks. While we understand that dealing with stains is a lot more challenging, it's something that we have to know how to deal with as a company, especially if you're in the building and the remodeling. And even if you're in the service side for cleaning, you still need to figure out what causes them and how to treat them and remove them and prevent them. All water contains metal, right? So it's very important that you check the source. All fill water contains metal. You want to make sure that the source that you're filling that water up disinvolves the metals that are filling the water with either pool chemicals or whatever may happen. Lawn fertilization puts so much into our pools. A lot of people don't realize that. If they're spraying the lawn, if they're fertilizing it, whatever they're doing, or chemicals that go from rain runoff. Like, I've had a client where their downspout flows right into the damn pool. I'm like, no, you can't do that. Stop. So I had to explain the reason why and, of course, what's going on. And as we also know, the use of stone, brick, and marble around pools has added to the levels of dissolved metals into the pool water. And I think that's because of the acidic nature of the rainwater. So when it rains, it goes in, right? Because we all know rainwater typically has a pH around like 5 to 5.6. And I've seen it, like, I've tested it as low as like 1.8 ish in some areas, like in the DFW, because I'm always curious when it comes to that. And of course, as we know, like, acidic rainwater releases the metals that's found in the metals. So, like, when you have marble and flagstone and granite, or natural even, that contain iron, which can leach into the pool, a lot of people don't take that into consideration when they're building, and let the homeowner know, hey, just make sure you're checking this with your new service provider if you're not dealing with it. Because obviously everybody knows that poor chemistry in a pool, regardless of the water source, will eventually destroy the pool and the equipment by the surface. Make sure that the chemistry, you're handling it properly and it's not corrosive. To the point, especially, that's important for the pool homeowners to understand, because the water doesn't contain enough carbonate or calcium hardness that can impact the plaster. When you have these stains, it's hard sometimes to identify, okay, well, I've done this and this, but it's still not fixing the problem. Well, that's where your network needs to come in and start reaching out. So if you have like a vinyl liner pool, because they're not immune to staining as well, and fiberglass isn't either. And severely unbalanced pool water can leach into any pool. It doesn't matter. And obviously, we all know that pH is the most significant factor in preventing and removing stains. And that's often overlooked because the pool water can look clear, even though the pH is not where it's supposed to be. Pool water with low pH, dissolves the metals that are found in the equipment and the heat exchanger. And so that just is just the same as if it's stuck to that brick or that stone around the pool, and it can dissolve in the acidic water. So then once that gets there, it's going to run into that plaster, resulting in that plaster pitting and etching and releasing of the embedded metals that go into the water. And obviously, in the other end of the high pH spectrum, we've got high levels cause metals to plate out of water to form the stains at a molecular level that discolor the pool surface, right? When we have these issues on our startups, which you need to take the startup class, NPC startup class, to help you with that so you can understand the staining because they do go over that. Kent was my teacher, he was wonderful. It is kind of basic if you've been in the industry for a while, but take some of the higher end classes with like Rudy or Wayne, and they can definitely go over this more in depth with you as far as the staining that happens with that. Because pools with a high TDS are especially problematic for controlling stains because the salt content of the water is naturally high. So, salt water, as we know, is corrosive, and any chemical compound for it to behave differently in a high salt solution. So we're adding to the problem by having that. And there's a growing body of evidence suggesting that plaster surfaces may be more soluble in salt water than in fresh water, as we know. Unbalanced water, of course, has a big release of metals in the surface, which causes more staining. So just make sure you're testing for the metals, make sure you're testing for organic, inorganic. Make sure that you understand where the staining is, because once you know the metal load of the pool water, then of course you can take action to minimize the staining. And then once effective, temporary measure is to add a sequestering agent and making sure that it is added weekly, bi-weekly, whatever that pool needs, because the chemical compound ties up the dissolved metals and prevents them from oxidizing on the pool's surface. So, unfortunately, sequestering agents do not effectively remove metals from the pool water, of course, but they do break down over time, losing their ability to bind the metals. So, if you know you have metals, obviously use something for the metal out. Drain the pool if you need to. If the agents that you're using to remove the metals is not there. So, unfortunately, on the molecular side of the sequestrian metals, it's too small to be effectively filtered under most conditions. So, remember that. That is a big one. Like, if you are trying to get the metal out inside of it and you know it's not working, is your filter actually catching what it's supposed to? So, the effective removal of sequestrian metals require a highly sophisticated filtration system. And the typical pool filtration system is only able to remove a relatively small particles, which means that most of it, if not all of it, of the time of the sequestered metals pass through that filter and return to that pool. So again, you may have to drain it like I was telling you. So keep in mind that most of these agents remove around 5% or less of the dissolved copper from properly balanced water. So with that being said, keep an eye on it and check it on a weekly basis. And if you constantly have metals going in that pool, look at the surrounding of the pool. Like I was telling you, look at the coping. Is it sealed? If not, seal that coping. What's the fill water? Are they constantly filling that water? Where is it coming from? Is the heat exchanger bad? Do they have a non corrosive on the equipment side? What's causing the metals to come in the water whenever they're constantly there and you're removing it. And if you're doing it and they're not doing any of that, drain the damn pool and start fresh because there's no preventing metal staining ultimately. You can't really prevent it for the most part if it's constantly going into the water because the concentrating of metals in the pool water, it's just got to be reduced. So, obviously, to reduce it, you dilute it by removing some of the water, removing it. And then sometimes it's not possible because if you have a liner pool, you don't want to drain a liner pool. You can also use an ion exchange resin system to remove the metals from the water. I have heard good things about that. I personally have never done that, but the process from what I've read is pretty straightforward and intends to reduce the calcium concentrate of the water as well by requiring the additional calcium compounds to restore the proprium hardness to the water. And then obviously the third choice would be like a an insoluble chilling polymer to remove the metals from the water. So the material is easy to use. Just don't, and it doesn't impact the hardness of the water, but it does not interfere with the other chemistry. So that's what's great. If you can't drain it, try one of those three things to help prevent the metal staining from the water. just remember, check it. I can't stress fast enough to check metals. 'Cause the next thing you know, you don't wanna turn the pool blue or purple or fun other colors that it's not supposed to be, and then you gotta do the filter cleaning because your filter is all blue, right? So, I hope this episode has helped you a little bit with understanding metals and what's going on with the strategies and how to help you combat them. All right, until next time. Bye, guys.